Hello folks, welcome to the channel and welcome to the Man Cave. Now, about a year ago, Chigee sent me their AIO6 Lite smart navigation system to review. They sent me it free of charge and it came complete with dash cameras and enabled the rider to use either Apple's CarPlay or Android Auto from their phone via the unit's very nice 5-inch display screen. So you could access your navigation apps, listen to music, make receive phone calls and messages, and it rapidly became the system to have. And in my view, it was simply the best product of its type on the market. Indeed, it has remained firmly on my GS since then, subject to taking off to review other similar products until now. So what's knocked the excellent Chigee AIO6 off of its perch on my BMW? Well, stick around. We're going to find out after we roll the intro. Welcome back. Surprise, surprise. It's actually the new bigger and improved Chigee smart display unit with a screen size of 6 inches. So Chigee still have the fabulous 5-inch screen still available. So depending on your needs, you can now go large or small. So this rather large presentation box was sent to many of us YouTubers for us to test for any issues before launch to you, the general public, and also to do a little bit of a review. So the box is not actually what you'll get when you order your Chigee unit, and basically they sent us everything that they had produced at the time, and I got mine a few months ago and have fed back some comments to Chigee whilst I have been testing it. There were a few software issues, but what it highlighted was the way in which the team at Chigee addressed those software issues to rectify them. They're a serious company looking for nothing more than perfection in their products and the quality of those products, and in my opinion they are second to none. They've been around since 2020. They are designing and producing premium products for us, you and me, the rider, and in this short period of time they have, in my humble opinion, put themselves at the top of the smart navigation display market. And if you don't know, they are a Chinese company. I'm going to quickly touch on product support, and if you look at their website, which itself is extremely well put together, you'll quickly see that Chigee mean business when it comes to helping you, the customer, when you need your support, you need questions answering and that kind of thing. Now, the standard warranty for the AIO6 is 12 months, but if you are in the UK, you can get 2 years warranty. For example, online retailer Nippy Normans, who I deal with quite a lot actually, are an authorized Chigee dealer and are providing a 2-year, yep, 2-year unconditional warranty at no extra expense. So it's best to check with the dealers regarding the warranty depending on your region around the world. Now, the AIO6 is currently on pre-order at the time of making this video, with shipping due at the end of May, beginning of June. You can also go to the Kickstarter website and be one of the first to get your hands on the AIO6. Now, Kickstarter has various options, so go and check them out. So we now know who Chigee are. They produce a premium, high quality product, which is not cheap, more of that later, but you pay for what you get. So folks, let's have a closer look at the AIO6. The display unit carries on the premium look from the AIO6. It's extremely well made, and the main body is constructed from a tough plastic tie material. On the right hand side you have a waterproof rubber seal which is secured in position using 2 small screws. Using Chigee's supplied tools you can undo them, leaving them in the seal. There's no need to actually remove the screws from the rubber seal, which gives you access to the SD card and the SIM card slot, together with the diagnostic port which you can plug a USB-C connector into to power the device to familiarise yourself with the display and the functionality without switching your bike's ignition on. On the top right you have the video recording status indicator light, and this can be selected either on or off in the menu settings depending on what you prefer. On the back you'll find the unit's inbuilt speaker and microphone, and finally the main wiring port. I've mounted the display onto a broomstick secured in a vise, and it's powered via the diagnostic port using a power bank, so that's how you can actually practice with the device off of the bike. So this is the home page. Clearly I haven't got the cameras fitted and I'm not connected with Apple CarPlay at the moment. And so 4 buttons on the top, then home button, that takes you to the home page, which is this current page. And then the next button is what they call the switch button. So that will take you to the CarPlay screen. We're not connected to CarPlay to my Apple iPhone at the moment. And then press it again, and then that will take you through to the other displays that the unit can show you. So we have the inclinometer, put my teeth back, press the blue arrow here, and that takes you through to another page that can be displayed. And these pages are nothing to do with CarPlay, they're just pages that you can display. So even if you're not using CarPlay, you can still have access to these pages. Press the home button and it takes you back to the home screen. Surprise, surprise. Next button then, third button, is the video recording button. So that will take you through to the camera page. As you can see, the cameras aren't connected, so this is the message you're gonna get. So we just cancel that, and that's the home screen again. And then what you can do is the fourth and final button. If you want to go dark screen, just press it once and the screen goes off. Press it again. So everything is still working behind the dark screen. Press it again, and then you have your screen back again. And the final thing that this button does is press a long press on it, about 3 seconds, and there we go, screen locked. So you can touch the screen, nothing's going to happen. And then if you want to unlock the screen, then you just simply do that and the screen is unlocked. And they are the 4 buttons on the top of the device. Very easy to use with a gloved hand. And this is all the symbology that you're going to get on the display. And here's Chigee's comparison chart between the AIO6 Max, the 6 4G and the AIO5 Lite. Once you get the unit, the first thing you're going to have to do is activate it, and that's a simple task of connecting to your Wi-Fi and then just activating it with Chigee. So let's have a look at what the AIO6 is and what it does. The AIO6 comes in 2 versions, the Max and then the LTE 4G version, which is the one that you have to put the SIM card in. So decide what your requirements are and then purchase the appropriate version. Now Chigee sent me the 4G version to test, and that is on my BMW R1250 GS behind me. Is bigger better? Well, obviously that's quite subjective, and I'm going to say for me, yes, it is. So I've got used to the bigger size compared to the smaller 5-inch screen that was on the bike before, and that had been on the bike for about 12 months. So if you prefer the look of the smaller screen, or you simply don't need the 4G functionality, then the 5 is still an excellent choice. But technology moves on. Now, once you've decided on the unit for you, you simply build up the system with Chigee's optional extras to get a system that you want without paying for something that you don't need. The AIO6 Max smart riding display on Chigee's website at the time of recording this is currently priced at £347, and the 4G version on my bike is currently priced at £422. But check the website for possible discounts. The specifications for both versions are exactly the same, except that the Max version does not, so I say again, does not have any 4G connectivity, as it doesn't have a SIM card slot in the side. So if you decide you want the 4G functionality, then you'll have to buy the 4G version from the start. I'll put the specifications up here and also what you get included in the box. The Chigee will fit any bike, and as standard comes with a 22 to 32mm mounting bracket with spacer rings and a ball head, and the supply cables come ready to connect to the optional dash cameras. Now both versions, like all these navigation units that are now on the market, allow you to mirror your phone's Apple CarPlay or Android Auto onto the display. So you have access to your favorite compatible apps to listen to music, podcasts, receive and make phone calls and texts, and to navigate and hopefully not get lost. The system is not a standalone dedicated GPS navigation system like my Garmin Zumo XT, which I no longer use. It relies on being connected to your phone to navigate via your phone's navigation app. So if your phone battery runs out, then you say goodbye to your CarPlay and Android navigation and all the apps that go with it, and you're left with reduced functionality of the AIO6. So you need to manage your phone battery, and that may be by either plugging it into your bike or indeed carrying a power bank, maybe in your tank bag. So I don't actually find that an issue whatsoever, but some do. More and more people are actually ditching their GPS navigation units for the Chigee, as it does so much more. So what are the main features available for both of these AIO6s? First is the very nice 6-inch screen. It's lovely and clear and has an auto dimming function and a screen brightness of 2000 nits compared to the 1200 nits on the AIO5. They also have a new operating system with newer screen layouts. The waterproof rating is now IP69K, which basically is the highest rating that there is. It means that the unit can withstand being pressure washed up to 100 bar and 80 degrees Celsius. The 5 has a slightly lower rating of IP67, but is still very good. It's easy to update the software via Wi-Fi connectivity over the air without having to download the software onto an SD card, as some other brands do. And of course, as we've already mentioned earlier, they all allow you to mirror your Apple or Android phones with all the apps that you have onto the very nice 1280 by 720 display. You also have the option to have split screen displays when using Apple's CarPlay. I don't use Android Auto, but I guess that's going to be the same. So for me on the GS, the new 6-inch display is better. And I will admit though that I thought it was a bit too big at the start, and I did like the compact size of the 5, but now I would say I would stay with the 6. Chigee sent me the 4G version, so what does this do that the Max doesn't? Let's keep it fairly simple. So having put a SIM card in the slot at the side of the unit and then gone through the connecting process between the unit and Chigee's app, which is called Chigee Go, you're then able to do a number of things. So what you can do first off is monitor its location using the unit's inbuilt GPS. You can set up a geofence or an imaginary perimeter, for want of a better word, out to a distance of 10,000 meters. So for example, I've had my bike in my garage where I have a very limited 4G service as it's a granite house, but with the geofence set, I can set up a perimeter of say 500 meters. So if the bike gets stolen from my garage, once it's got a signal and it's within the set parameters, then via the Chigee Go app, I get an alert sent to my phone. You have an emergency SOS function. If the unit detects you've been involved in an accident, it sets off a 60-second countdown on the display, and without manual cancellation, a pre-designated contact is contacted automatically to get you help. And there is also a security shield that alerts you if your bike is tampered with, basically a parking monitor. And then finally, there's the real-time tracking, which keeps a record of your routes in real time for you to review later. All this is done using the Chigee Go app, and if you get an alert, or indeed at any time, you can access the bike's camera view and see what's going on, if indeed you've got the optional cameras fitted. The app is also used to download video footage if you have the optional cameras fitted. More of that shortly. This extra functionality comes with a cost, not only the extra purchase cost for the 4G unit, there's a 4G data SIM card cost. Again, keeping it simple, you can buy a SIM card from Chigee, here's the costs, press pause, have a look at it, and you basically get 5 gigabytes of data for 12 months at a cost of about £40 or $50, and that should be enough to allow you to receive alerts. And if you have the dash cameras fitted, you can also dial the SIM card from the Chigee Go app and get a live stream video, as we just mentioned. The alerts that you get sent to your phone via the Chigee Go app are speeding, tire pressure, voltage, and then finally vibration alerts if somebody attempts to move your bike, all sent via the unit's SIM card. Now, it is a great system, but the SIM card has to be connected to a phone network. If your bike's in a multi-story car park, hotel underground car park, that kind of thing, then the SIM card may not be receiving any reception due to its location and surroundings, so you won't be able to be sent any alerts from the SIM card itself because it's not getting any reception. Now, I didn't get a SIM card from Chigee. I paid for my own because they didn't send me one in the lovely box that they sent us. So from my local service provider, I paid £6 for a month and they gave me 2 gigabytes. But if you do this, then there is a 4G service charge from Chigee after 180 days. So that works out about $50 a year or £40. So every year, if you've got your own SIM card, you have to pay Chigee £40. So you'll have an ongoing yearly data plan charge of about £40 with Chigee, or about £112 in my case using one of my local phone companies. Now, data use is generally low for alerts and tracking, so Chigee's 5 gigabytes should actually be enough. Now, obviously, if you dial up the bytes cameras, you're going to burn through that data allowance, which you can actually top up with Chigee. So the £40 from Chigee for the year is okay, and I think is fairly reasonable. So enough of all that data stuff. Let's have a look at the optional extras available. Now, there are quite a few optional accessories that you can purchase, and to be honest, that would be another video. For all bikes, you have the option to get the front and rear dash cameras, which cost approximately £135, and that is something I would definitely purchase. Not only does it give you the means to record your ride to then use in a video, but I think more importantly records the ride for evidential purposes should something happen, for insurance and possible civil and criminal proceedings to help you or indeed somebody else. To be honest, quality is not as good as some of the current breed of action cameras with their 4K cameras. So to be honest, I wouldn't actually use the dash cameras for producing a Hollywood type movie of my motorcycle tour. I would actually leave that to the action cameras, but that is only my opinion. Now, the quality is fine for proving what has happened if you're involved in an accident or an incident, or an allegation has been made against you which you know is not true about your riding or somebody else's. Now, here's a short clip. It's about a minute or so in length of the video quality. It's actually my nephew riding the bike, and it was recorded in 1080 at 60 frames per second. Obviously, you'll need to insert an SD card into the device itself to record the footage, and you can play it back on the screen itself, or you can download it onto your phone using the Chigee Go app, and a 2-minute recorded clip will actually take about 30 seconds to download from the device onto your phone. And if you choose to watch it on the display, the unit has an inbuilt speaker, so you can listen to any audio. And you'll also see at the top of the recorded video, there is some information, some data recorded onto the video clip from the bike itself. Dog's gone. You can also take still photographs, but that's a feature that personally I actually wouldn't use, but that is a feature that is available to you. With the cameras, you also get to use the display as a rear view mirror, which is a feature that I really liked when I used the 5, and without doubt it is a really good safety feature. Blind spot detection can be activated in the settings and works in conjunction with the rear camera. It is a camera based software system, so it doesn't have a dedicated radar unit pointing backwards. I do have one of those from another company on the bike, and that system will operate out to a larger distance, but I have found that the software based system using the rear camera of the Chigee works very well actually. So from a blind spot detection point of view, it's a nice little system, and it will give you a audible warning when you have a vehicle within the target area, and you can put the yellow target area up on the screen, and it will tell you by an audio alert or indeed a visual alert on the screen whether there is a target within the target area, to the left, to the right, or immediately behind you. And yeah, I found it worked pretty well actually. There are several ways to scroll through the camera display. One is by tapping on the screen with your finger, or you can use the button on the top of the unit, the Chigee Remote Control Pro or BMW's Whiz Wheel, if you have the CAN or the LIN module fitted. When viewing the camera screen, tyre pressure, GPS speed and direction are also displayed. If your bike doesn't have factory fitted tyre pressure sensors like my BMW does, then for about £71 you can buy a pair of tyre pressure sensors which connect via Bluetooth to the display. They're very easy to install. High and low level alert parameters can be set through the settings of the display unit, and I found them to be very accurate. The audible alert that sounds is loud, and initially I thought it was being transmitted to my helmet's headset, but it wasn't. It was coming from the unit's inbuilt speaker. You also get a warning come up on the display, so again, a great safety feature to let you know of a potential problem. Now, my BMW has the control wheel, or whiz wheel as we all seem to call it, fitted, and with the optional CG RC LIN module fitted, which costs about £95 specifically for the BMW. It then allows you to control the display hands-free and to gain access to your bike's data displayed on the screen. For instance, like the tyre pressure, if you've got BMW tyre pressure sensors fitted, and the engine RPM and the current selector gear, to name but a few. Now, I've used the module on the 5 and the 6, and I've actually found it to be a very good, stable, reliable system. But like all things, familiarity is the key to smooth, frustration-free use. For all other bikes, there's the wireless remote control Pro, costs £74, and that is charged by USB-C and allows you to control the display, and you simply charge it from your bike's USB port or power bank, or take it off of the bike and then you charge it that way. I must admit that does feel nice in the hand, but I haven't used it, and again that is very simple to connect to the display by Bluetooth. Now, having used a lot of these navigation units over the past 12 months from different companies, the Chigee's capacitance touchscreen is good and works okay with touchscreen capable gloves like my Rucker summer gloves. I do find though that there are times when it doesn't make your desired selection first time, but they all do this actually. My preferred method of operation is a combination of touching the screen and using the hard select keys on the top of the Chigee, and also using the remote control whiz wheel on the BMW. I would always get a remote control. It really is a little bit of a no-brainer, but there is that extra expense. It's very easy to get sucked into the screen and go heads down when you're trying to touch something with your finger, which on a bike, let's face it, can potentially cause you a problem. So although the screen works okay by touching them, I would always get a remote control, and you've also got voice control using your headset as well. Right, that's enough of all of that. Let's have a look at some of the mounts. Oops, I forgot to mention the 6, just like the 5, has the facility to actually lock the screen, so when you touch it with your finger, nothing happens. Why would you want to do that? Well, these screens use a touch capacitance screen, and when heavy rain falls on the screen, the heavy rain drops act like your finger. So potentially with heavy rain, and indeed it happens on the iPhone, it happens with the Zumo, you can get uncommanded screen selection things. So to avoid that and the screen going basically nuts, what you can do is lock the screen. Very simple to do, and then when you ride out of the heavy rain shower, you can unlock the screen and then everything returns to normal. But that is a nice little feature. Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that in there. Let's now have a look at the mounts. First off, here's all the mounting options that Chigee do. The great news is that with Chigee, if you have more than one bike, you can now swap the display unit from bike to bike, and all you need to do is purchase the optional power cables and mounting brackets. You can also purchase a quick release mount so that you can use the unit in your car, van, or indeed motorhome. What a brilliant idea. That costs about £133. Chigee give you a variety of ways to attach the AIO6 display to your bike. As standard, you get the base plate with the orange rubber anti-vibration washers and the ball head, and you simply attach the base plate and ball head to the unit, and then that attaches to the supplied mounting bracket, which is attached to your handlebars. That's the standard option for all bikes. You get hex security screws which need the special Chigee hex tool to remove and secure them, so the unit can't be easily stolen or removed. So that's the standard supplied option. So this is kind of a permanent fix to the bike. Power is supplied from the bike's battery, and if fitted, cameras are connected by the power cable and Type-C harness plugging into the rear of the units. Next, we have the option for any bike, a quick release system, which means you can easily remove the display unit from the bike, leaving the mounting system and cables in place. You'll need the quick release module, costs approximately £80. The quick release module is simply slotted onto its base unit. It clicks in to complete the installation. Very simple. The base unit's cable supplies power from the bike's battery and camera feed, if you have the camera option, to the display unit via the Type-C connector. You can use the standard supplied handlebar mount or attach it to an optional crossbar mount, which costs approximately £28. Now, for BMW riders, Chigee have looked after you, and you actually get several options. First, if you have BMW's navigation prep installed, I can't stand it. I've actually taken it off of my GS. You simply attach Chigee's BMW quick release module onto the back of the display unit, and then you'll need to attach the Chigee BMW quick release cable to supply the camera feed and power to the display, so that gets secured to the side of the module, and then you simply insert the display into the BMW nav prep cradle, and then you turn the key and it is securely locked in place, and that will cost you approximately £79. Hopefully this bit is not going to be too confusing. Now, if you've got the non-4G version with no cameras, then there is no need to use the supplied quick release power cable that I just mentioned, as power is provided by the BMW nav prep unit. It also means that the whiz wheel will function, and you don't need the extra expense of purchasing the Chigee LIN module. If you have the 4G version or cameras are fitted, then the Chigee quick release cable should be fitted between the standard supplied power and camera cables to provide power for the security shield for powering the cameras when the ignition is switched off, and if and when the unit detects vibration with the security field in place, then it can send a vibration alert and record a 30-second video clip automatically, as it is powered by the bike's battery, just drawing a little bit of power. It also means you're able to access the live view from the cameras when you are away from the bike, i.e. remotely. With the quick release cable fitted, it means when you release that cable, the display unit, when removed from the nav prep, does actually have a short length of that quick release cable still attached to it. And finally, bringing up the rear for those riders that need it, there is a mirror stem mount costing £16 and a fork stem mount costing £28. Phew! Hopefully that's not too confusing. On my BMW, I have just kept it very simple, and I do not like the BMW nav prep unit, as I mentioned earlier. So that went last year sometime. And for the 5 and indeed the 6, I've just used the optional crossbar mount and used that to mount the display unit onto that crossbar. Very simple, very minimalistic, and it means that the display unit doesn't come too far forward from the crossbar, and I like it. Installation time, $1 million question. I've taken this bike to bits so many times before when I've put products on the bike for testing and reviewing, so I'm pretty used to it. I would say allow yourselves a really good, healthy 3 hours if you want to do a nice, tidy installation. I did a time lapse. I videoed things as I went through it, but we're already up to 25 minutes, so I'm not going to show you how I installed it, but I'll put a little bit of the time lapse up here together with some other photographs as I went through the installation. Basically, remove the side panels to give me access to running the power cables from the back of the device round here on the right hand side back to the battery terminals, and then obviously you've got the rear camera, and then just run the cable from the rear of the bike and then through to the cables here on the right hand side. There's no GPS module to mount. That's all contained within the display unit itself, and that provides data for the speed, and I think it's direction as well. I might be wrong on that one though. So yeah, 3 hours, just take your time, and nothing is too complicated. And the only thing you need to do for your bike is tap into a switched live feed. Now my bike, under the rider's seat, there is a switched live feed there, which I've tapped into it. I'll put a photo up here somewhere, have a look at it. But there's lots of videos on the internet about where the switch live is for the BMW R1250 GS. As I said, not complicated. Take your time if you want a nice, clean, OEM looking installation. Yeah, but allow yourselves good 3 hours, maybe a bit more, but it's not complicated. The AIO6s are able to connect to a selection of GoPro and Insta360 action cameras too. I have the Insta360 Ace Pro and was able to connect the CHIGEE'S display to the camera easily through the CHIGEE'S settings. Using the CHIGEE'S camera display, I simply tapped the Insta icon, and then I had control over the Insta camera to record and change the camera settings. So it gives you the option to mount the camera somewhere else on your bike, or put it on a friend's bike and do a bike-to-bike shot controlled by you once you have framed the shot, or simply to make sure that your helmet mounted camera is correctly positioned. All in all, a nice little feature. Final thoughts then on the AIO6 from Chigee. Well, Chigee, in my view, are clearly the current market leaders when it comes to these type of display units. The quality of the components, from the fixings, cables to the mounts and displays, are extremely high. Now, the product support is excellent, and that goes for the website layout too. All very well put together. Even when the display unit shuts down or switches off, it gives you a shutdown screen. You'll just have to decide on what options you want and whether you want to go with the 4G with the live view access and all the other bits that go with it or not. Screen size is noticeably larger than the 5, which is still a great unit, but the bigger screen certainly makes navigation easier. Now, I didn't have any issues with voice control or using my Cardo PackTalk Edge headset with my iPhone and the Chigee. It was rock solid. I will have one moan: Chigee should maybe consider putting a screen protector in the box as standard, considering the cost of the units. I've just checked the delivery dates, and the website is now showing pre-ordered units starting to be delivered by the end of June. Cost wise for the 4G, you're looking at approximately £422, and the non 4G display, you're looking at about £347, subject to price changes. For my 4G setup with a crossbar mount, LIN module and cameras, not including the SIM card or the SD card, the price comes to something in the region of £680. Yep, not cheap, but the Garmin Zumo XT is priced at around £500. And having used the Zumo XT in the past, I would go for the Chigee AIO5 or 6. Now, Chigee have some deals on at the moment, and with the pre-sale offer, that takes the cost down to approximately £646. But if you apply my discount code, that will get you 10% off the AIO6 and its accessories. So that's all from me. Well done if you've made it to the end. A bit of a long video, but if you're spending a lot of cash, I thought you'd want to know as much about the AIO6 as I could possibly tell you. I'm going to put the discount codes and links in the description down below, so go and check them out. The AIO6 is another great unit from Chigee. That's it. Ride safe, and we'll see you again soon next time. Cheerio. Come on then, mate. Let's go.